Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of Embody Yoga, and welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. This class is called Category is Pigeon Pose Realness. That just means we're going to be doing a variety of pigeon pose postures today. So get ready. These are great hip openers, and there's different ways that you can do hip openers in pigeon pose. So let's start with some props. We will need a couple of yoga blocks. I've got mine here. If you don't have yoga blocks, just something sturdy that you can use, perhaps some hardbound books. That should work just fine for this. And maybe a soft cushion or a big pillow. I may not necessarily use this prop, but I like to have it handy just in case. But you may need and want to have something soft to sit on and kneel on. That could be a blanket, it could be another yoga mat that you roll out on top of the first one here, or even a towel. Alrighty, let's start in a comfortable seated position. Sitting up nice and tall, nice lengthened spine. You might want to roll your shoulders a few times, just get settled in. We'll begin our breathing meditation here as we prepare for practice. You might start with a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs, and exhale with a soft sigh. You can do that again. Inhale, nice expansion of the lungs. Exhale, nice release. There we go. Just continue with slow, steady breaths here, just to get more in tune with your own breathing. And also take the time to check in. Notice how you're feeling right now. Now you can do this with your eyes opened. You might just gaze softly forward or downward. You can even just close your eyes as you take this journey inward, this quiet moment of meditation. Just simply listening to the sound of your breath, feeling your breath as it moves through you. Remembering that breath is the foundation of any yoga practice. We like to start here so it helps us to be more present, connected, grounded. You might even set a personal intention for yourself. That intention can be your guide through your moving practice today. And since we'll be doing pigeon pose, a wonderful hip opener, we could be thinking about our hips physically, our legs. But in our hip area, we're really working on that second and third chakra area. These are our creative centers, our emotional centers. So if that needs a little stimulation, these are great postures for you to practice. Let's take 3 more breaths here in stillness. And as you take these breaths, just feel your breath rising upward to fill your lungs. A nice expansive feeling in your heart space. When you exhale, as you're able, just draw your belly button in towards your spine. Just a light pull feeling, just so that you're a little bit more aware of your center. We call that the abdominal lock. So one more, maybe perhaps an inhale to feel the lengthening of your spine, breath rising, filling up your lungs, exhaling, pulling belly button in. Now let's just add a very simple movement. As you inhale next, extend your arms out and all the way up. Just reach into the air, a nice stretch there. Then exhale, extend your arms out across the room. Good energy in the arms, hands, and fingers. As you complete the exhale, your arms return down to your side. Let's do that again. Inhale, extend your arms out and all the way up, reaching into the air. Exhale, extend the arms out again and back down. And just keep moving and breathing at your own pace. Don't worry if you're not moving in the same pace, at the same pace as me. Just listen and feel within your own body. Just notice the energy in your arms as they reach out and up, perhaps that lengthening through the sides of your body. Still feeling the breath, listening to the sound of your breath. Aware of your shoulders in motion. Let's finish this breath and take 2 more. Just moving at your own pace. When you're complete, you can just let your arms rest down by your side, let your body settle, and just come back to stillness and return to the awareness of your breath. From here, let's just bring the hands behind us, maybe just propped up onto your fingertips. When you bring your arms back, it also draws the shoulders back, which helps open up through the heart space, right across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. I like to call this a mild back bend or heart opener. So your fingertips are pressing into the floor. You'll inhale to press and also feel breath rise to fill your lungs. Exhale. As you exhale, continue to pull the belly button in towards spine. As we inhale, pressing into the earth, feel the energy in your arms. Just let your chin tip up a little bit, just creating a little bit more space in the heart area, your lungs, your neck. Exhale, pull belly button in. Just notice all this wonderful energy surging through the body with the effort of this pose. 2 more breaths. And after the second breath, just lower your chin so your neck is neutral. You can walk your hands towards yourself so you can sit up nice and tall. You can bring your arms around to the front and just return to that relaxed state of body. Since that was a back bend, let's practice a forward fold. Let's uncross the legs if your legs were crossed, and we'll move into bound angle pose or cobbler's pose, where the feet are touching here, the knees are bent. This is really considered a hip opener. Now, if your knees don't touch the floor, they certainly don't have to touch the floor. You might just want to use your blocks or books or even some small pillows or rolled up towels just to tuck underneath the legs so your legs actually have something to rest on there. And just hold on to your ankles or shins, maybe your toes. And sit up nice and tall initially. Inhale as you do so. And exhale, pull belly button in and start to hinge forward just a little bit, leading with your heart and chin, just a tiny bit here. Inhale, more extension through the spine. Exhale, pull belly button in, and if you're able, maybe hinge forward a tiny bit more. Now we can stay just like this. I'm going to reach out and grab my toes now. This is fine, just as long as you feel something. It doesn't have to be too much. A little energy, a little sensation in the inner legs as we start to open up the hips and inner legs in this posture. You can certainly go a little deeper, and I think I will for this pose. And what you'll do is just lower your chin a little bit, start to fold or bend over, which allows the back to round. Now it just creates a little bit more sensation in the inner legs, but not going too far. You don't want to strain yourself. You don't want to feel like you're forcing your body into this pose or any other pose that we practice together. I want to pause right about here. This feels just right for my legs. Because of the curvature of the spine, I feel a nice stretch quality through my back, and that typically feels pretty good. And in this forward fold position, I'm also very aware of my back and even the muscles and sensation in the back body. So I like to take a nice full breath in and try to fill up my back body. Just as when we are kind of bending over backward in a back bend, we breathe into the heart space or front body. We can do the same as we forward fold. Breathe into the back body. Just feel that nice expansion as you inhale and feel it deflate with the exhale. 2 more breaths here. And if you did allow your back to round, let's extend the spine just by lifting the chin a little bit. There we are, nice fully extended spine, and start to hinge your way back up until you're nice and tall, and just return to that neutral posture. Take a breath. All right, let's make a transition. We'll move our props out of the way for now. We're going to come to hands and knees, so take your time to maneuver your body to your hands and knees. This is where your blanket or towel might come in handy. I like to open mine out to a rectangle here so I can rest my knees at one end and my wrists at the other end, so you form a tabletop position. Moving through two poses, cat pose and cow pose, which starts with cow pose, which is a back bend. You'll inhale, fill up your lungs, tip the chin up, looking forward. Even feel like your heart is moving forward. At the same time, you're tipping your pelvis back, creating an arched back, a little back bend, and the belly feels like it's dropping towards the floor. With the exhale into cat pose, let's start with the back end. Tuck the tailbone under or scoop underneath. Feel the belly button pull up towards your spine, round your spine, and chin comes in towards chest. Now I'm going in slow motion to break this down. Inhale, tip the pelvis back, belly drops, there's the back bend, heart opens, look forward. Exhale, round it all out. Chin to chest, rounded spine. And just continue to move through these two poses, let them flow. Really feel the fluidity of the spine in motion. Still breathing, it's the breath that's guiding the flow of the body, this undulation of the spine. Let's finish this breath and take two more. Now, sometimes being on our hands and knees puts a lot of pressure on the wrists, so we're going to take a quick break before we go to the next thing. So when you're complete here, just pause in a neutral tabletop posture. Your gaze is directly down at the floor between your thumbs, so your neck is neutral. And go ahead and tuck your toes and just start to sit back towards the heels just a little bit, just to take the weight off the hands. You might even walk your hands back to a point where you can actually take your hands off the mat. And I like to circle the wrists here. Even flex and then drop and again circle and wiggle your fingers, because being in that tabletop posture puts a forced flex in the hands and that can get a little tiring there. So just kind of wiggle that out, because we are going to return to hands and knees. Now what we're going to do here is a little outer hip stretch, something that I like. I'm going to turn this way so you can just kind of see where the hips are going. At the moment, my hips are directly over the knees, but I'm going to take my knees in closer, so my legs are closer. I'm going to take my hands wider, just for a little balance effect, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to sit over to the right, just to let that right hip just kind of sink over to the right. And for me, I get a lot of sensation, some good sensation though, in that outer hip, in that glute area. And then I like to shift forward and back, just for a little massage effect in that area of the body. Now my outer hips tend to get a little tight, and so this feels quite good to me. I'm going to come back up to center and just shift to the other side. Now, this might feel good to you. You might have some dynamic sensation, or it might not feel too dynamic at all. Just be aware of how this feels for you, because it's certainly different for everybody. I'm just shifting forward and back after having shifted my hips over to the left side. I'm going to come back up to center. I'm going to turn to face this way again. Let's take the weight and pressure off the wrists again. There we go. A little circle here. Let's get ready for downward facing dog. So I'm going to move the blanket out of the way for now. Hands out front, return to your tabletop position. Now if the wrists are directly underneath your shoulders here, we're going to step the hands forward so they're out from underneath the shoulders. And do spread out your fingers pretty wide. I like doing that, one, to create a nice solid base of the hands on the mat. Also, you get a nice stretch between each finger. And then lean into the hands. Press the hands flat into the ground. Feel the arms straighten. Feel their energy and strength. Tuck your toes under. Let's do another set of cat-cow. Inhale to cow. That's our back bend. Look forward. Exhale into cat pose, rounded spine. Hold cat pose. Make sure your toes are tucked, and then lift your knees off the floor, and then send your hips up into the air. This should allow the chest to sink down towards the arms, as well as your head, and let that relax for a moment. Not here too long. Look straight down, and then just step the feet towards the center of the mat until you can get them flat on the mat. And then just slide your fingertips towards your toes. This puts you into a forward fold. Now inhale and slide your hands up to your shins or knees and hold here, trying to create a nice flat back like you were a table. I like to ensure that the feet are flat on the ground, nice solid foundation. You can keep a good bend in your knees here too. This is also good for the hips, alrighty, especially in this posture, lots of energy here to help hold you up. There's even an energy of the hips and tailbone moving to the back of the room, or the crown or top of your head is moving forward. Holding here for one more breath. And then shifting weight into the heels as we prepare to stand. We're just setting it up. You want to make sure your toes feel light. Bend your knees to lower your hips, at the same time lifting the chest, maintaining that lengthened spine as best as you can. Hands can come up to your thighs, even push into your thighs to help you stand up. And then once you're tall, let's get even taller by extending the arms up into the air. Good reach. Exhale, extend the arms out and down to your side. We've made it to our first standing position. Feel free to kind of check in, shake the shoulders, a little circle of the neck. You can even work down the body, maybe moving hips side to side a little bit. Check in with your knees, ankles, feet, and toes. Alrighty. Let's do another half salute to the sun, which is basically a forward fold and coming back up. Okay, nice flow there. Just turning to face forward here. Let's inhale, extend the arms up, getting nice and tall, nice lengthening through the spine. Exhale, spread your wings out to the side. Bend your knees to sit back into the imaginary chair, maintaining a long spine, but eventually, as the hands drop, the back will start to naturally round. You can go ahead and allow that to happen. Let the head drop, feel gravity draw you downward. And then inhale, slide your hands back up to your shins or knees, re-extend the spine, hold on the exhale. Once again, just kind of settling into this half forward fold posture. Strong legs, lengthened torso. Now shifting weight into the heels, bend your knees, lift the chest, arms out to the side this time, standing up all the way, reaching into the air. There we are. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very good. Is remain standing and do some variations of some lunges. I like to do a variation of Warrior One, which just really gets us ready for the second version of Warrior One. Nice lunge, and also gets into the hips a little bit as we prepare for our pigeon pose practice. Okay, starting in mountain pose. Let's start with soft knees, so we're not locking out the knees. Shifting your weight into your right foot, and then inhale to get nice and tall. Exhale, pull belly button in. This is a way of securing the body. And this left foot should be pretty light, so we can actually tap the left foot back a little bit, keeping the heel lifted, okay, like this, with kind of a flexed foot there. And then you're going to turn the whole leg out to the side as you plant the left heel into the floor. So the whole foot's on the floor now. A little bit of space between the feet, but not too much. But you want to feel quite balanced right here. Right knee and toes pointing forward. Go ahead and place your hands on your hips. Push your pelvis down as you lift the torso up. And that should allow you a little space in your midsection here so you can turn to face mostly forward. Now in this position, we're actually getting ready, as a matter of fact, for pigeon pose, because there's a sensation where there's going to be a leg in front and a leg in back. And we'll start to kind of open up in the legs in this area. This is just a very minimal effect of that. All right, let's go ahead and inhale, extend the arms straight up. Exhale, bend elbows here to about 90 degrees. This is our variation of Warrior One. Just holding for a moment. Taking some deep breaths. Once again, still feeling solid on your feet with a little bit of space between the feet in this lunge. That back leg is slightly turned out. Some minor stretch and sensation in this left hip flexor. Let's inhale, extend the arms into the air. Exhale, let's bring the arms down. You can even bring hands to hips here. Lean forward so we get some pressure and weight into this front foot so we can pick up that back heel, even turn the toes forward. Everything's now facing forward, and then just push to step forward into a standing position. Let's inhale, take the arms up into the air to finish this. Exhale, arms return to your side. Let's do the same thing on the other side now. Starting in mountain pose, softness in the knees, shifting weight into the left foot. Inhale, get nice and tall, fill up the lungs. Exhale, core connection just for stability. Picking up the right foot, just tapping it back with the heel lifted until it just naturally stops back there. It doesn't have to be too far. Turn the whole leg outward, turning the foot so the heel is on the floor, shifting your body so you're nicely centered. You can even have a nice bend in the knees here, a little check, a little bounce here to make sure you are centered. Hands on hips, pushing pelvis down, getting tall, making that space across the belt line, turning forward. And that kind of puts that sensation, it's light perhaps in that right hip flexor. Left knee and toes are pointing forward. Still facing forward, let's inhale, extend the arms straight up. Exhale, bend elbows to our 90 degrees, forming our first variation of Warrior One. Let's hold here for several breaths. And getting ready to come out of the pose, we'll inhale to re-extend the arms straight up. Exhale, arms come back down. Bring your hands to your hips. Leaning forward into this front foot. Let's pick up that back heel. Turn that whole leg inward now so all 10 toes are pointing forward. Your hips are square, also pointing forward. And just step into your mountain pose or feet together. To finish, we'll inhale, extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side. And if you'd like, just return to a little circle of the shoulders and just check in with your body. Alrighty, so let's make our way through a variation of a sun salutation. Starting again in mountain pose. Let's inhale, extend the arms out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, shifting your weight back into your hips and heels. If you can, go slowly. This is good for just kind of body endurance and muscle endurance. Hands may come down to your shins and just kind of slide down a little bit. Inhale, slide the hands back up to the knees just to extend the spine as best as you can. On this exhale, to slide down the legs, take your time. Bend the knees more, let the head drop, let the back round. You want to get low enough so you can get the hands on the floor and walk or step your feet back. Take your time to the back end of your mat and just lower the hips until you draw this straight line from head to heel, which allows you to arrive in plank pose. Good strength building here. Breathe in, then exhale, bend your knees a little, send your hips up into the air, like so. You might need to step the feet forward a little bit and even adjust your hands. Maybe spread out your fingers. I like to take my hands a little wider so there's a little bit more space for my shoulders and chest so that my chest can sink a little lower here. Let's continue. I like to step the left foot to center on the mat just to stabilize the body as I now pick up the right foot and extend the right leg back, straight as can be. It doesn't have to be high. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring the knee in underneath you towards your chest, shifting forward until you can see and feel that your shoulders are over the wrist or close to it. And then set your right set of toes on the floor. Your heel will be lifted. Set the left knee down. From here, kind of pull the weight away from the hands, even step the hands, actually just your right hand. Free up the right hand. You're going to go grab your right ankle and just kind of step this right foot up a little closer to the top of the mat. It might just land right behind the right wrist. You're going to re-lift the left knee. So now you can see and feel that there's more distance between the feet.
We're gonna do that outer turn of that left leg, the back leg, so you can get the heel on the floor. But there's still too much weight up front. I'm gonna walk the hands back, and notice how I shift my body back. I want more weight in that back foot. Here I like to rise to fingertips just to start the extension of spine. Hands should be light enough to start walking the hands up the leg, up to the thigh perhaps, still engaging into the thigh with the hands to help extend the spine. So it's nice and long and flat at this angle. We're going to hinge to rise up, also take the arms out and up, reaching into the air. Now we've made it to our second version of Warrior One. Let's hold here for a couple breaths. There's 1, 2. Let's stay in the lunge, but let's relax the arms for a moment. Alrighty, so our first version of Warrior One, there wasn't much distance between the feet. Now there's more distance, so you might have more sensation. Let's just check in. The front leg, right knee and toes. Okay, knee is bent, toes pointing forward here. Back leg, stepped back, leg turned out, and with the torso lifting and facing forward, just noticing what's happening kind of through this section of the body. This is good. Again, we're preparing for pigeon pose. Let's finish by extending the arms into the air again with a breath. Inhale, then exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as you now bring your arms down to parallel. Right here, this is Warrior Two. Now you might need to adjust the legs a little bit. I like to turn my left foot out. Okay, so this leg just feels straight and strong, no binding in that left hip area, but make sure your right knee and toes are still pointing forward and hasn't dipped to the inside. Nice opening there. All right, so really, in a way, really focusing on the right inner leg. Let's get nice and tall, re-extend the arms out. Moving into side angle pose, we're gonna modify this. We're gonna reach forward a little bit, angled upper body. Let's bend the right arm so it's at a right angle and kind of tip. You can bring your hand to your thigh, or if you can a little lower, bring your arm to your thigh. I'm just gonna bring my hand to my thigh and bringing left hand up into the air. This just brings a little bit more attention and awareness to the energy in this inner right leg. This is good because we're still preparing for our pigeon pose. This is this pose, Warrior Two or side angle pose in this case. These are poses that we do all the time. They actually are nice conditioning postures. They get us ready for other poses. Okay, we're gonna rise up a little bit. Let's bring this left arm down. Turning to face forward. I like to take the arms up and forward, flip the palms up and then fold carefully so I can land on my hands. Once I've landed, I'm gonna rise up onto my tiptoes so the heel is lifted. So everything's facing forward. I call this a low lunge or a runner's lunge. Push into the floor firmly with the hands so your arms feel strong. So you can pull or slide the right foot back, plank pose. Hold. We'll breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees a little. Send your hips up into the air. And again, we'll make an adjustment with the feet and hands just to help settle in. Letting the chest sink if that feels good. It's okay to keep the knees very bent here. All right, getting ready for the other side. First, step your right foot to center. Pick up left foot and extend the leg into the air. Just reach and extend behind you. Inhale. As you exhale, let's bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting the body forward, shoulders over wrists. We're setting the left set of toes on the floor. Set the right knee down. Pull the weight away from the hand so you can free up your left hand. We're gonna go get the left foot or ankle and just step it up a little higher on the mat. So we create that nice distance between the feet. Return this left hand to the floor. Let's re-lift the right knee. Turn that back leg out and get the heel on the floor. Let's find the balance. Let's start by walking the hands back so we can get more weight into that back foot. Rise to fingertips. Try to extend your spine. Walk your hands up to your thigh. Lift a little higher. Get more extension through the spine. The torso should be right over this front leg. And feel the straightness through the torso. We're hinging our way up. Inhale, take the arms out and up. Exhale, hold. Here's our second variation of Warrior One. 2 more breaths. Here's 1 and 2. We're going to inhale as we're going to bring the arms down so we can check in with the legs here. More distance between the feet, left knee and toes pointing forward, right leg turned out, whole foot on the floor, hip flexor stretch. Okay, it's above the belt line, right across the belt line, and maybe in that upper thigh area. That's where you may have sensation. Let's inhale, extend the arms into the air. On the exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel as we arrive in Warrior Two. Make some adjustments with the legs. I always turn this back foot out so it just feels more natural for this back leg. Again, making sure the left knee and toes are pointing forward. The knee is still stacked over the heel or ankle. Alrighty, Warrior Two. We're going to shift forward, out over this left thigh, getting ready for side angle. We're going to bend this left arm, rotate here. You can bring your left arm or hand to your thigh. Right hand reaching into the air. Let's hold for several breaths. Again, just emphasizing the sensation in the left inner leg. After we finished our warrior positions, these standing postures, we're going to make our way down to the earth and start working on our pigeon poses. Let's come back up. You can lower this back arm. Turn to face forward. Take the arms out front. Flip the palms up. Fold so you can bring your hands to the mat. Once you've landed, let's turn that right leg inward so you can rise up onto your toes, heel lifted. Our runner's lunge here. Push hands firmly into the mat. That's a kind of a transfer of weight so you can slide the left foot back. And there's our return to plank pose. Let's hold a little bit longer for strength. And then we'll bring the knees to the ground. Let's sit back briefly in hero. I'm going to slide my blocks in towards center here, just to the, next to me. We're going to be using our blocks next. Go ahead and sit off to the side, getting out of hero pose. Let's get the legs out front. You might need to shift so you're sitting more in the center of your mat, so you have space behind you to roll down onto your back. And just bend your knees and just have your feet on the floor. Just making some space there, just moving my pillow, and I can easily grab my block. Just pause for a moment. All right, we're going to move into a variation of bridge pose. I call it supported bridge. In a way, it'll get into the front thighs, the front of the legs, hip flexors, and even the low belly. So actually quite similar to the lunges, especially Warrior One, where we got into that same area of the body. All right, let's breathe in, fill up the lungs. As you exhale, you can actually exhale through the mouth. Feel the air leave your belly, grab a block, push feet into the floor and lift your hips, getting high enough so you can get your book or blocks underneath you to sit on. I've got a yoga block which I'm turning up a level here so I can sit. I don't want to sit too low and I don't want to sit too high, so I just call this level 2 of my block. And this feels just right. And it's almost a resting feeling here, which is just fun, especially for soft flow. Holding here, taking a few breaths. Now there may not be a lot of sensation in that low belly, belt line, upper thigh area, but it is a nice opening sensation. It's like a nice counter pose to sitting, because all of this would be, more contracted or folded forward. Here we counter that by doing a back bend. 2 more breaths. And to emphasize this a little bit more, just for a few seconds, press feet into the floor, lift your hips up and away from the block, move the block, but see if you can hold this for a few seconds, getting a little bit more sensation in the front of the body, and then go ahead and lower your way down. A nice easy landing. I'll let everything just soften here. All right, let's get ready for our first version of pigeon pose, which we're going to be doing lying down. Now this is going to be quite progressive. This is, I would consider, maybe the easiest way to do pigeon pose. And then we'll do our second version, and we have a third version. Alrighty. Now we're going to keep the right foot on the floor. You might even step that right foot a little bit towards center, just a little bit. Pick up left foot, even flex this left foot, cross left ankle over right thigh like this. And just kind of let it relax for a moment. And then maybe using your hand, left hand, and just push into the left knee like you're trying to push it directly forward. Make sure this left foot is flexed. Now this could be the end of the pose. You want to check in to see if there's sensation in this outer left hip, okay, inner thigh area, but if not, let's add on. Stay here, but pick up your right foot up off the floor, bringing the legs closer towards you. Now this left hand is going to kind of thread through the space between the legs, and then hold on to your right shin, if you can, or right hamstrings with both hands. Just interlace the fingers and carefully, gently draw the legs in close. Now, I'm feeling much more sensation in the outer hip, kind of in that glute area. So just holding on to the right leg, which is lifted up off the floor. Now, if your block is nearby, if you can maneuver this, which you could do, if this works for you, getting that block underneath that lifted foot so it just has a little extra support, like this. So sometimes we call this reclining pigeon, okay, because it's kind of pigeon pose. You'll see when we get to the second version of pigeon. So it resembles the posture a little bit. It certainly affects the left leg in this case, but the more formal name is eye of the needle pose. So we took that left hand and we thread the needle, eye of the needle. One more breath. All right, I'm going to move my block, set the right foot down, uncross the leg. I even like to extend it and then set the foot onto the floor, keeping the knees bent. So we can just kind of take a few breaths, settle, and get set up for the other side. This is a nice way to neutralize, realign. Here we go. Let's step the left foot to center just a little bit. Really doesn't have to move. Picking up right foot, I'm flexing the foot, but I'm crossing right ankle over left thigh. Using right hand, giving the knee a gentle push forward. And just check in. You might have sensation here. Again, this could be the end of the pose for you. Otherwise, pick up left foot off the floor. Let's thread the right arm through that eye of the needle. Hold on with interlaced fingers onto the left shin or hamstrings. Again, notice what's happening in the right leg. Now for me, I have pretty tight outer hips, so I feel this. I also feel this in my glutes. Let's see if I can get my block underneath that left foot just to keep it supported. Let's see if I can get it there. Got it. But still holding on to the left shin. I like to flex the foot here, the right foot that's crossed. It just helps to energize the leg. It also just keeps our attention on the activity of this leg. It also actually works as a stabilizer, stabilizes the leg in its leg socket. Let's take 2 more breaths. And we're ready to remove the block if you're using that. You can just set the left foot onto the floor and then uncross the leg, maybe a little extension and kick, bend the knee, set the foot down. Let everything relax and neutralize. Take a couple breaths here. All right, this is a wonderful version of pigeon pose. Let's get ready for the second version. First, we need to rise up. So let's roll to one side. Press hands into the mat to help sit up. quickly just come back to cobbler's pose or bound angle that we did earlier. So the soles of the feet together, holding onto the shins or ankles, and just extend the spine. This is really also getting us set up for the second version of our pigeon pose. Alrighty, I'm going to swing the legs around to the back. Come to hands and knees here. Now you can use a blanket just for a little softness underneath you if you'd like, which I'll do. I'll just run my blanket across my mat here. I'm going to kneel on it. And if you happen to have two blocks, let's have one up front and then one by your right side. Here's what we're going to do. Come to hands and knees. Follow me. You're going to slide or step the right knee up towards the right wrist. Doesn't have to touch it at all. It's just moving in that direction. Tuck your left set of toes so you can actually lift the left knee off the floor. I'm tapping the right foot because you're going to swing that right foot over towards the left edge of your mat. If you look at the leg, it'll be at an angle. I'm going to set the left knee back down onto the floor. It's behind the right leg now. And using the left knee and toes, I'm just crawling back. You don't have to go down too far. Now I'm going to stay here for a moment, high up in the posture. Here, we're going to start to get into this left hip flexor, very much like that Warrior One sensation. All right, the right leg is bent. We've got pressure on the knee and ankle, so be mindful of that. In a way, it's going to resemble that reclining pigeon that we just did and Warrior Two. It's going to affect the inner leg and the outer hip. All righty. Now, since we're kind of high up, we're not really sitting on the floor. You can use a book or block or even rolled up towel or pillow and tuck it underneath the right hip so the hip stays square. Push into the floor with the hands just to help extend spine. Look forward. Exhale, crawl forward or simulate crawling forward to lower the body down, maybe just down to your elbows and forearms. And since you're kind of high up off the floor, if you happen to have a block or another similar prop, bring it in and just rest your forehead on that prop. And so here's another version of pigeon pose, a very typical version of the posture where we've got in this case, left leg extended back behind us, which is nicely affecting the left hip flexor. The right knee is bent underneath us here, hopefully affecting in a good way the outer hip and inner thigh. But if this variation has some tension or stress on the right knee or right ankle, then you may want to go back to the first version of pigeon pose, that reclining version. Another feature of this posture is that we're folded over. Sometimes we call this pigeon pose prep because it gets us ready for other versions of pigeon, and we will be doing one more. All right, let's take one more breath so we can get set up for the other side. Alrighty, in our forward position or forward fold position, we're coming out of it. Just use your hands. Press, lift a little bit right there. Just gonna move my block forward for a second. Tuck your toes under and use your left knee and toes to kind of shift forward, getting more weight and pressure in the hands. You might even notice a straight line from shoulder to wrist. I'm lifting that back knee, swing that right foot back, even sliding the knee back. I'm just kind of going in reverse here and setting the left knee down. Toes are still tucked. I'm going to sit back for a moment just to get the pressure off the hands. Just for a moment, just a quick circle if you need it, and we'll get set up for the other side. So I'm just going to move my block to my left side, right there, and then come back out to hands and knees. Other side. Let's slide the left knee forward. Tuck the right set of toes, lifting the right knee. Swing the left foot over towards the right edge of the mat so the left leg is at an angle here. I'm setting the right knee down onto the floor. Use the right knee and toes. I'm just kind of shifting the whole body back. Again, it doesn't have to go too far. So there's going to be some space here. That's where you can tuck that towel or block or pillow underneath you. Okay? And then simulate crawling forward. Inhale, crawl, lengthen to the spine. You can exhale to lower. Maybe your head reaches the floor, but if not, use a block. If you don't have blocks here, what you might do is just stack two fists like this and just rest your forehead on your stacked fists. And we'll just hold here for several breaths. You don't have to do much here, but breathe and just allow the sensations to arise. Notice how this feels. Just allowing the body to do its work. We're getting a nice stretch and lengthening through the front side of the right leg. A nice inner leg and outer hip stretch in the left leg. We're in our forward fold positioning, so our preparatory posture of pigeon pose. We're going to do a third version of the posture in a moment. Let's take 3 more breaths here. When you're ready, start to slowly rise. Use your hands to help press yourself up. In a way, we're in a really deep lunge. Sometimes I like to call this a collapsed lunge, but since we're not on our feet. All right, we're going to tuck the back set of toes. Use the right knee and toes to kind of shift forward. Getting more weight into the hands, shoulders over the wrists. That way we can lift that back knee. Actually, I need to move my block out of the way here. Swing that left foot to a more neutral position, setting the right knee down. So we've returned to a tabletop posture. Now, if you need to rest your wrists by sitting back, give them a little shake, feel free to do that. But then we're going to get ready for the third version. Remember, the second version we did is sometimes called Pigeon Pose Prep, which preps us for other versions. So let's take another version. Same setup. Slide right knee towards right wrist. Tuck the left set of toes, lifting that left knee. Swing the right foot over towards left side of the mat. Set left knee down. Still crawl back just a couple times. You don't have to go down too low. Use something to sit on. Sometimes I call it a park bench, just to sit on here. But we're going to stay on our hands. Push into the floor, extend the spine, and so we've slightly lifted. Now I'm at an angle here, which is quite nice, especially for a soft flow version of this posture. But we could create more of a back bend sensation to get more into both legs, especially this left leg. You're going to watch me do this. I'm going to bring my hands out to my side a little bit, and I'm propping myself up onto fingertips. Push, just to lift a little higher. So essentially you're in a back bend. So pigeon pose, this variation is actually a back bend. But you don't have to go too high. Certainly don't want to put too much added pressure in the low back. But it does open up this front left hip flexor, low belly area, and maybe even a little bit more sensation on the right side. All right, let's bring it forward. Now, you don't have to go up as high as I did there. Maybe your hands are out front. Maybe this is it. But it provides just the right amount of sensation. All right, here's another way we'll get out of the pose. Alrighty, still going to tuck my toes under, left foot. Start to shift the body weight forward. I'm going to move my right block out of the way. Now, weights in the hands, push into the floor. So I can lift both knees off the floor and extend the right leg back. So I'm in a plank pose. Then I'll set the knees down. Just a slightly different way to get out of that pose. Let's set up for pigeon pose on the other side. I'm going to slide my left knee forward. Tuck my right set of toes, lift that knee so I can swing the left foot over towards the right side. Reset that right knee onto the floor. Crawl back using right knee and toes. Using block underneath the left hip as our park bench as you need to. And then you can even flatten that back foot. Hands in front. Pushing into the floor slightly to help extend the spine. We're lifting up through the chest. So we're forming that mild back bend. You can just take your time if you want to try a deeper back bend. You might take the hands out to the side, propped up onto fingertips. That just makes the arms a little longer. And just lift a little bit. Just kind of ease your way into it. You don't have to force this at all. This feels quite good because it doesn't feel like I'm putting too much pressure in my low back at all. And to maintain as much space as possible in this back bend pose, just keep extending this right leg back. I'm trying to really reach, okay? And this upper body, the upper body, feel like your heart is going forward. That should, it's subtle. It'll help to create more space in the back body. All right, let's start to come out of the posture. Hands are out in front, tucking the back set of toes, shifting the body weight forward until my shoulders are over the wrists. I'm gonna move my block out of the way. Push into the floor with the hands, strong straight arms so I can lift both knees. Step back with the left foot, plank pose. Hold. And then we're complete. Let's bring the knees down to the floor. Sit back briefly in hero pose. And then off to the side. We're going to swing the legs around to the front. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way first here. My blocks are still out front, but I want to move those out of the way too. And just go ahead and lie down onto your back. Now you can maintain that blanket or something soft underneath you if you'd like. We're going to roll down and bring the knees into chest. Good. Just add a little movement here. Let's check in with the feet and ankles. One thing I didn't really refer to in pigeon pose is that does affect the ankles. So from here, since the feet are free, you just give them a little relief. You can flex the feet and point your toes, and I like to make some circles. All right, let's hold on to the shins or knees here. A light flex in the feet, and just pull the legs outward to the sides of the room. Just a little bit here until you feel a light stretch in the inner legs. This is my soft flow version of my soft flow version of happy baby pose. Just a light stretch. A couple breaths here. We're just making our way towards the end of the practice. Once you've spent some time here, you can certainly spend more time here if you'd like. Let's bring the knees back together, set the feet onto the floor, legs together, but then just kind of peel the knees out, let them come down towards the floor while the soles of the feet touch. This is a variation of cobbler's pose. Now we've done it already, but we did it seated. Now this is the lying down version. This is a second variation of reclining bound angle pose where the feet are on the floor, knees open, but you'll feel a pretty significant stretch in the inner legs. We're going to finish with a twist, then our final meditation pose, Shavasana. All right, let's bring the knees back together, hug them in. Go for our twist. Let's take the knees, both knees over to the left side as you extend your right arm out to the right side. And just settle in. A nice rotation in the spine. This also may affect the hips, low back, especially if you did that third version of pigeon pose, which has that back bend appeal to it. This might add some relief to the low back. Just a couple more breaths. Feel free to stay here as long as you like to here. And when you feel complete, make your way back to center and just hold center for a moment. Once again, just allowing your body to realign, get neutralized before we go to the other side. And when you're ready, sending the knees over to the right and extend your left arm over to the left side of the room. Nice twist. Nice rotation in the spine. Notice what parts of the body are affected here. deep breaths. And when you're ready, let's return to center. You might just give yourself one more hug, and then go ahead and extend the legs out in front of you. And your arms resting down by your side. Let's take a nice full breath in, just fill yourself up. One last sense of energy surging through the body. And then exhale, let it all go. Kind of a discharge. Relax, let the feet relax, your legs, your hips, your back, your torso, shoulders and arms, and your head. And just hold in stillness here, disengaging the muscle work of the body, just feeling the natural flow of the breath. We've made it to the end of our practice. This is Shavasana. Now, if this isn't quite comfortable for you, some things you can do. One, you might just place something soft underneath you, like a cushion, blanket. If you need a pillow for your head, feel free to do that. You can even change your body position. If it feels better to lie down but keep your knees bent with the feet on the floor, do that. Or even tuck something underneath the legs. Sometimes I like to take the bolster and place it underneath the lower part of my legs. It just elevates the legs a little bit. Or you might lie on your side. So whatever feels comfortable, something that feels restorative and relaxing. You're welcome to keep your eyes opened and softly gaze upward, not really focusing on anything. Or you can close your eyes. If your mind begins to wander, that's okay. Just notice that you began to think of something else, perhaps. Take a deep breath so you can bring your awareness back to your breath, your body, and this moment. Doing your best to stay in the present moment. Now feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. If you feel quite relaxed, just take advantage of this opportunity to remain relaxed. When you are ready to move, take your time to do so. Start with some deep breaths. Just regenerating energy in the body. Starting to feel movement return to your body. You might start by wiggling your toes, wiggle your fingers, move your feet, move your hands, and let that energy move up the legs, up your arms. Feel that movement return. And only when you feel ready, move in slow motion. I like to bend the knees, plant the feet into the earth, so I can easily and carefully maneuver my body, just rolling to one side, and then pressing into the floor with the hands to lift upper body, so I can come to a seated position. You might want to sit on a pillow or a blanket, and if you're able, perhaps crossing your legs. Ensure a nicely extended spine, relaxed shoulders, your arms relax and your hands can just rest in your lap. Let's do one more movement together. Inhale, extend your arms out and up. As you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more deep breath.
And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.